Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. Today I'm here with a regular that I meet yearly at Netroots. It's the one and only Mondale Robinson.
What's
How
up,
you
young
doing,
man? How you
Mondale?
doing?
Nice to see you. You know what?
What's that?
Let's give you the right title, because over the years you've now become the mayor of
Enfield, North Carolina.
And let me tell you, folks, this guy goes out to this community and he really turned it around. Let's talk a little bit about that, first of all. Tell me why it is that we must get into politics and actually be not just politicians, but do what we're supposed to do. Help the people. Tell us what you did out there.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, I went back to this community because it's my home community.
Oh, I didn't know it was your home community.
So Enfield is my hometown. I was out here doing all of this change and political work for the rest of the world.
Right.
And all of it brought me back home, because what was happening was we had a carpetbagger move into town and start to gentrify my hometown and push out some of the poorest black people in America to places where they wouldn't have access to resources.
Mm-hmm.
So I came home to address that. Ran a campaign that was for the people, by the people. I know that sounds cliche in this climate, but it was really true. So much so that I ran 0 ads, 0 billboards, did 0 mail, but I beat an incumbent by 53 percentage points.
Imagine that, huh?
Imagine that.
Imagine that. And that was just engaging people that people just took for granted.
That's all.
They never, they're going to vote this way. They ain't going to vote at all.
Exactly.
And you did that. Now, you also, so there's some issues that I recall about real estate in that area. Tell us a little bit about that.
So what's going on is we have, besides of gentrification and people driving up the prices, there's some dynamics about Enfield you should know. Right. Enfield is the 8th poorest town in America. 8th. It is only 7 towns.
Thousands of towns.
Yeah. 8. Hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of towns. Enfield is the 8th poorest. And in North Carolina, it is the poorest. It is also one of the blackest towns in America. It's 97% black. And the average income for a household, not an individual, a household is $22,000.
Oh my God.
So we had somebody coming in, building up houses for $300,000. So I wanted to stop that, not trying to prevent anybody from doing business, but make sure that my people that were living off minimum wage, if that, had an opportunity to get into the middle class by home ownership. So I found a builder, I found a bank that's willing to give loans to people with no credit, little credit, or bad credit, and also the builder that was willing to build houses for $125,000. We're talking about smart homes, beautiful homes. So now people that were never going to have an opportunity to be a part of America's home ownership, what people call the American dream, now are realizing that right now within less than 2-3 years of me being mayor.
So a politician comes into town, one of the sons of the town, and he actually did what was necessary to help the people. Whatever happened to that around the country, brother?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Why aren't they doing that? Why aren't these guys... we see the opposite happening from these politicians right now.
Well, what happened is people fell in love with money more than they did their neighbors. People fell in love with the interest to continue to stay in power longer than they did about doing good for folks. So for me, I don't care if I'm unelected and never elected again in the next term. I know what I came to do, and I did just that. And I leave the office better because of what I've done for folk than I did when I came in.
Well, they will never forget that. I mean, no, they try to sue you out and do all that kind of stuff.
Well, they're trying to kill me.
Yeah, well, we know that too.
Because I took down a Confederate monument.
Right.
So
that's it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Yes.
You had the gall to do that, didn't you?
I had the audacity.
You had the audacity to do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a monument that had been standing in Enfield since 1923.
Right.
An ode to the Confederate, 10-foot tall marble statue with a beautiful poem on it to Confederacy. And I wanted to get rid of it, not just because of me, but because our town voted on it. And also it does epigenetic harm to black children to see a Confederate flag flying 10 feet tall in a town that is majority black.
97%,
97%, absolutely.
Well, look, you have another project that you work on as well. Right now, people are given these tales that somehow the black voter is going to be migrating towards Donald Trump, and especially guys like you. I mean, what the hell is that all about?
So, I mean, that conversation really is not about the black voters. It's really about black men and black men only.
Right.
That conversation is about 3 things, if you really want to know, brother. Let me tell you those 3 things. The political structure, infrastructure, and also those who are in charge, lack of relationship with black men.
Right.
2, the invisibling of black men. Right? By the entire political structure. And the last thing it's about is people not giving a damn truly about what black men are showing them through historical voting data. Right. So if you look at what black men have done over the last 4 election cycles. They're not moving to conservative ideas. They're not becoming more conservative. They're not supporting Trump because he's bombastic. Actually, the last election cycle and the one before that in 2020 shows that black men voted less for Trump in 2020 than they did in 2016. But it does not fit the national narrative of what people want to believe about this demographic.
You know why you're here? Because this is the narrative.
This is the narrative.
This is the narrative. In other words, we don't have to play with what they're talking about out there. This is a narrative.
Yeah.
So you have a group that you work with, that you formed actually, that you founded. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I started Black Male Voter Project as a love letter and also an acknowledgement to black men to say that I see you. And although the political structure is dead set on invisibling you, it is our job to make sure that we understand that our vote is powerful if we use it in the way that it was designed, right? So Black Male Voter Project started in 2019 as a full organization out of me doing 20 years of political work and seeing people saying and acting in manners that was transactional and not beneficial to create or move black men in a way that we expanded the election and bring more of the brothers into the electoral fold.
Now, why is it so necessary for you to treat, let's say, black men different than Latino? Well, you probably need this structure in the Latino community as well than, let's say, white men, etc. What is it that makes this a necessary thing? For those who would say, well, you see, you're creating divisions by some sort of an identity definition. How do you explain that?
I don't explain it to because people that think and see the world in that manner are being naive. Black people did not create identity. White people created identity. They created black and whiteness after the Bacon Rebellion to divide poor black people.
The Bacon Rebellion. I mean, a lot of people don't get that. So I stopped you there because you need to tell them about what was going to happen in Bacon Rebellion, because many of us are trying to unite to remind folks that, you know, we have more in common than not. And what the Bacon Rebellion did is use some of humanity's carnal way of being to create that separation after the powers got scared. Why don't you explain?
So what happened in Bacon Rebellion was that we saw a bunch of poor white people and black people who were being exploited by the wealthy, the landowners, to one, extend their 7-year indentured servant contracts and also not pay them their wages. So they got together and they formed a coalition and they were going to take over government. They were going to, not like January 6th, they were going to take over government in a way that said, this shouldn't be the way. You guys can't exploit people because you own them, so to say. And what the powers that be did, they decided that we'll give white people a few rights that we won't give black people. We gave white people the right to marry, white people the right to own guns, and white people could never be indentured servants for life, whereas black people could. And then white people also could become citizenships. This was not a case for black people, and this is why we ended up with chattel slavery in the way that we did in this country.
And you know what I find that is what I'm happy about is we have somebody who now sees it and is working not just in black neighborhoods, but in Appalachia and all of those folks in the great name of the good old Reverend Barber. And he has realized with the Poor People's Campaign, some of the work that you're doing within your movement. So, I mean, give me a quick closer as far as where do we go from here?
I mean, we did not listen at Black Male Voter Project. Our hair is not on fire because a presidential candidate had a bad debate. Our hair is not on fire because white people are nervous about their democracy. Our hair is on fire because we continue to exclude black men from the political process. And until we put out that fire, we'll always have these fake fires around what white people are fighting about.
Mondale Robinson. Mondale Robinson. Hi, thank you very much for this interview, my brother.
Indeed. Peace.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.